Hey guys, we're live. Welcome to another installment of Sunday Night KloobySnacks. I am Abby Klubeck, and I'm here with my dad, co-author, mentor, everything, Jeffrey Klubeck. Oh, you're bigger.
There we go. You're bigger.
We're here for another Sunday, as we are for the entire year, to go over our KloobySnacks that we have put into 4 categories, or 4 baker's dozens. There's 52 KloobySnacks. We have them in 4 baker's dozens, which is 13 each, which works perfectly. We've already gotten through the loving section within the first 13 weeks of the year, and now we're in the ego flavored section of the KloobySnacks.
We are.
Yeah, we are. Shall we go over where we are thus far?
Yeah, you want to do a review of the snacks?
We should do a little review. Wait, I'm going to flip to it as we go.
Okay, all right. Let me. I see Charlie wants to come on board. Let's get Charlie in here. Hey, Charlie, how are you?
Hi, Coach Jeff. Hello, Abby.
Hey, we're just getting started. Sit tight. We're gonna do a review of the snacks, and then we'll open it up for conversation. It's great to have you here, Abby. You want to take us through a review?
A review of just the ego flavored?
Ego, yeah. I'm ready to start supporting your like banner stuff.
There we go. Okay. Here's where we've been for the past 8 weeks, 7 weeks.
Well, it's 14, 15. We'll count them as we go.
We'll count as we go. Okay. Our first Klooby snack within this flavor was surrender is not the same thing as defeat, which goes with, which one was it? With
Well, if what you're going to say is it goes hand in hand with vulnerable is not the same thing as threatened. Let me just jump in here and say that.
Yeah.
The last Klooby snack in our loving flavored was number 13. Vulnerable is not the same thing as threatened. And when I came up with it originally, it was one snack. Vulnerable is not the same thing as threatened, and surrender is not the same thing as defeat, right?
Yep.
But when we were talking about it, you said, "Hey, they can be broken up," and I agreed to that. But yet they're still together.
They're still
13 and 14. Yeah. All right, but you're on a roll now. Let's go.
Yeah, but that was to start off this flavor, and then number 15. There we go. Ego fence is an emotional fight or flight response. The first two. Oh, okay. 16. We have 16. We have our judgments are an aggressive form of ego defense. So within the first 3, we're really defining ego defense and kind of just what the whole ego flavored category means, because we're talking about ego in regards to sense of self rather than ego as in like the inflated, deflated, that type of ego. We're talking about sense of self. So we kind of cover those within the first 3.
Yeah, real quick. A lot of times people use, and this is interesting because like mind the gap, right? Pay attention to the difference. A lot of times people use words interchangeably. Right, as if they're the same thing. But when we really slow it down, really pay attention to the difference between synonyms, essentially. There's synonyms, okay, yeah, gotcha. But what's the difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why is there a different word for it? When we pay attention to that, there's nuggets there, right? So I think that's what you were alluding to, right?
Yeah.
When we're talking about ego, a lot of times it gets used as arrogant, but no, we're just talking about sense of self.
Yes.
Right.
Which I think the first 3 really kind of define what, like, how we're talking about ego. I think. Number 17.
17, ready.
17. We have, you cannot laugh at others if you cannot laugh at yourself. And if you love laughing at others, it's probably because you don't love yourself. Which is like the first part of it. You always say the first part is already kind of a saying, but then the Klooby snack twist was the end.
The first part's familiar, right? I think everybody's heard that or said that before. But what we've brought to it, and by the way, don't shoot the messenger. This is one of these, right? This is, hey. One of the goals of KloobySnacks, certainly, and all the work that I do personally, professionally, we want to make accountability non-threatening. We want to make it fun and easy and fun to look within. We all know, like, hey, nobody's in trouble. It's just the truth.
Yep.
Inside is the last place we always look. So why not do the work of making it easier, making it fun, right?
Yeah.
And so here's like the don't shoot the messenger part. Like sometimes we have to say it. Sometimes we have to hold up the mirror. Sometimes we got to be a little direct. And this is one of these KloobySnacks that isn't like passively inviting people to think their way into the meeting we intend. We are kind of like being a little bit more direct here, right? Don't shoot the messenger. But like, hey, if you love laughing at others, perhaps it's because you don't love yourself.
Yep.
Now, we're not criticizing you on that. We're not saying you're a bad person. What we want is for you to love yourself.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Continue.
Don't shoot the messenger. Okay,
Don't shoot the messenger.
18. We are usually guilty of the accusations we project onto others.
And how?
Very true.
Well, if I have anything to say about that, again, it goes in concert with inside is usually the last place we'll look. So that means even accusing other people of the things we know are going on inside us, but we're not ready to deal with it for us yet. So, well, let's slow down and pay very close attention to what we're willing to accuse somebody else of. Caution. Look within. Go ahead.
What is it? The projection is reflection, whatever. What is it called? I don't know.
Well, projection is a psychological term, right? And by the way, just truth be told, Abby, this, like a lot of these KloobySnacks, they're really universal truths, right? And I'm wordsmithing. I'm just coming up with some phraseology, try to get my arms around some universal truths that I want to be a conduit for getting out into the world. Now it's extended through you and your ability to take this to new and next levels. But that was 18. You ready for 19?
Yes, I am. Asking questions does not reveal our intelligence nearly as much as failing to ask will. And with that one, we talked a lot about it. Well, my response, at least, was like in regards to school specifically. I remember we had a whole conversation about that and like my perspective as a student and then yours as a professor, which was interesting.
Very. All right. Ready?
Number 20. I like this one. The curse of knowledge is when we have become so familiar with what we know that we forget what it's like not to know. I really like this one. I liked our conversation on this one. I think this is one of the ones where I had a different approach than what your intentions were, what your ideas were when you were writing it. So I don't know. I like this one. I like both perspectives and both ways we viewed it. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah. And I remember writing up, the little, what happens for those of you out there that don't know, I have like a Google Calendar invite for KloobySnacks every week. And I update it every single week with a new promo graphic and a new little write-up that teases what the snack is all about. Right? So this week, one of the things that I wrote in creating that Google Calendar invite that, went out in the Clues letter to my email database today. Anyway, it says basically not all KloobySnacks are created equally. You follow? Like, I hereby give us permission. Are you ready? To have favorites. It's okay. We don't have to like all 52 you follow. And number 20 is definitely one of the favorites, but we're going to get tonight to one of my favorites as well. Mm-hmm. Now, back before we move on, because you got to review 21 before we get to 22, about curse of knowledge. First of all, I liked it in and of itself. The curse of knowledge is when we're so familiar with something, we forget what it's like not to know. But just to give you credit that you deserve, I wrote that snack focused on the challenge of encoding our thoughts to an audience. Like when we are expert, how do we encode our thoughts to a novice, right? And so sometimes if we forget what it's like not to know, we might not put our thoughts together and encode, use the right language, the phraseology, the symbols, that lands with our target audience, right? So, but you took it further than that. You took it to like, when do I really want to know? When do I lose excitement for wanting to know? And how does that affect performance? I just thought it was brilliant. Yeah.
What how once you do know something and you're so comfortable within that knowledge, then like your eagerness to learn and to perform and just the overall effort decreases as once you get comfortable in what you know. And that's what I was talking about with like my job or with driving. Were the two examples I used in my response. But I do see that in like other areas of my life where I'm so like you don't have to actively try to understand something anymore. So then also like the overall effort decreases. And that's what I was talking about. But I liked hearing what you initially were like saying. I was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's one. I mean, I think it's just one of the beautiful things about this project overall is whatever gap may exist between what I was thinking when I came up with these KloobySnacks and how it may have been bridged by how you interpret them and what you have to either add to them or even how you've reshaped them. It's wonderful. So not all KloobySnacks are created equally. There's truth be told, there's some that I like more than others. And Cursive Knowledge is one of my favorites for sure. Among the 21 that we've read already, but 22 tonight. We're basically coming up upon one of my favorites as well. Another one of my favorites tonight. But anyway, so last week we talked about
people who lack self-confidence will always be intimidated by a true leader. And this one, we really talked about the wording and how we said we'll always be intimidated, and how that one we wish we looked over a little more, and instead of making it so like definitive and will always, because it is not always true. It's people who lack self-confidence can be intimidated or might be or tend to be, something of that sort. But the will always is very definitive and kind of makes the snack overall lose its truth. But if we were to rewrite
it's truth, it's flexibility, it's compassion. Yeah. I was like, you remember last week? I was like, kind of like almost not embarrassed, but I was like, how did this one get through? Yeah. Like you and I, one of us should have caught that. That's
here we are now, a few months later.
Yeah, it's like, wait a second, like
would change it.
Wait, I wrote that KloobySnack that I don't agree with. That's like a moment in humility. But like, hey, look, KloobySnacks are all about making it easy and fun. We don't have to be perfect. Nobody's perfect, right? If you think you're perfect, stop thinking. Let somebody else do the work, right? Like, we're just here to be jovial. We're here to be fun. We're here to lead thoughts. We're here to be curious. We're here to be compassionate. We're here to, cross generations. We're here to bond as father-daughter. We're here. Anyway, we're doing all these other things other than worrying about being perfect. That, that's like very far down the list. All right. So that brings us to tonight. Yeah. And I got to I'm going to add a banner right now. Hang on. Let me add a banner. KloobySnack number 22. And I'm going to just abbreviate this one because let's go. And exclamation point and question mark. Exclamation point and question mark. Ready? Drum roll, please. Are you ready?
Drum roll.
Add banner and Imposter Syndrome. So here we go. This is number 22. I'm going to go ahead and read the snack, Abby, and then you, as always, will read your journal style response to it. Are we ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here it goes. I'm going to look into the camera on this one because I got this one memorized. It's one of my favorite KloobySnacks of all time. Ready? Here we go. The only person that's worried about whether or not they're good enough for the next level is the person that knows they're going. Abigail, take it away.
You're going to screen share?
Yeah, let me go ahead and...
There's a picture in this one, so we got to...
Give me a second, though, because I had to do a reboot, and then I had to log in and view all recent files. Give me a second. I got to find the Klooby. Give me a second. I should have been a little bit more ready. I'm sorry. Okay, we go to KloobySnacks book, KloobySnacks with covers. Open, okay, and here we go. We're about to screen share and get into it. I like that you like the screen sharing. I do. Like that. Okay.
So sometimes I feel like I'm not enunciating my words well enough, so like it might be helpful to.
Well, and it's fun to take the audience through, the design. We had some advanced praise. We had all these people that, talk about vulnerability is not the same thing as threatened. Look at all the people that we must have sent this book out to in advance to get this many, instances of praise. And so that's always a nervous thing, right? Hey, will you read my book? And let me know what you think. And so the menu, the design. So right here in ego flavored, we're right 22, the next level, right there, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and I'm going to scroll a little faster now. All right. Are you ready?
Yep. Can
22.
you reread
Oh,
this?
wait, hang on. I'm sorry. I just got to stop here for just 1 second. Is that okay with you?
Also, it's important for this snack, if you remember.
Well,
no,
yeah.
Do you remember? Do you know why?
Well, this represents a new and next level for you in your journey in the theater troupe.
Just take it. Okay, hold on. Let me take the reins here.
You go ahead. I'll stay. Go ahead.
Okay. Just this picture. Keep in mind this picture. It's a little solo shot of me.
Oh, that's right.
Yep. Okay.
Yep. Solo.
That's right. Now we can scroll.
That's right. I remember now. I did this on purpose. I was intentional about this.
I know.
Yeah. This is a solo shot of Abby, but everybody pay attention to who's that over there. That's Dorothy, right? I think we're going to learn a little bit about her tonight. Okay. I got you, Abby. Okay, here we go. So now we're going into ego flavored and we're getting to snack number 22, which is right about here. And now everybody can see it with their own eyes. Yep. The only person worried if they're good enough for the next level is the one who knows they're going. Abby, go ahead. Take it away.
Okay. I've been doing musical theater since I was in 4th grade. I immediately recognized it as somewhere where I belonged, allowing me to express myself on stage through different characters. I love to perform and I enjoy being on stage more than anywhere else. I've played different sports, but the feeling of winning a game will never compare to the feeling of being on stage. Despite my love for musical theater, it was never something that I considered pursuing. For the most part, I stuck with my one theater company and I never did theater in school or any outside spaces. I was happy with where I started and I wanted to stay there. My friend Claire joined my theater company at the same time as me, and we've grown up on stage alongside each other. She was Tinkerbell and I was a Lost Boy, and we both played Merce Sisters in The Little Mermaid, and I was the Scarecrow to her Dorothy. As we grew up together, the pressure of college grew as well, hitting us during our junior year. At rehearsals, Claire would talk about different acting lessons she was taking, voice lessons she was in, and dance classes she took. She was constantly fighting to be better. I, on the other hand, didn't take any sort of classes, and I had a voice teacher that I met with very, very rarely. Out of my entire 7-day week, I was only indulged in theater for one of those 7 days. Once I walked out of rehearsals, my involvement with theater for the day ended. Claire's involvement didn't stop after rehearsals. It was constant. Hearing about Claire's constant drive to become a better performer almost felt like culture shock to me. We had both started theater at the same time, done the same shows, yet we were both on completely different routes. And there's the picture. From a professional standpoint, the musical theater world is intense. Oh, there's that. I mean, the full photo. Yep. Okay. Okay. We can come back to the photo after. Okay.
Hey, when you're photogenic, you're photogenic. You and Claire both. Okay. Good.
From a professional standpoint, the musical theater world is intense. With the highly saturated amount of talent trying to enter that realm, there are very few that really do make it. I love theater, but I'm self-aware enough to know that I'm not one of those few that'll make it. Broadway is not in my near future, or my far future. Claire, on the other hand, has the type of talent to actually make it, which is evident when she's on stage. During the past few months, during peak college app chaos, Claire has been stressed about her different auditions, pre-screens, and self-tapes for the different colleges she wants to go to. She spent her summer across the country studying musical theater at the Boston Conservatory. If she didn't have the talent to begin with, then she wouldn't be stressed over making it to the collegiate level for musical theater. I, humbly knowing that I will not make it to the next level for musical theater, am not stressed in the ways Claire is. Knowing that you're good enough to make it is what causes that stress. Though I'm sure Claire's college audition process has been beyond overwhelming, it's truly a representation of her multi-dimensional talent and drive. There you go.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to stop sharing for a second. I got so many things to ask you about here, but I'll start with my normal question. Okay. You wrote this, it's June today. So
I wrote that means college apps.
So 5 full months ago, and then go back to December is 6 months, November is 7 months, potentially 7.5 months ago. You wrote that, right? And I love, first of all, it's not hard to acknowledge how you're sitting in admiration of someone else, right? And how beautiful it is to see you write in admiration of another. Yeah. So, wow. So first question though is, would you have responded to this snack differently? Like when you wrote this response, you hadn't gotten into Fordham yet. When you wrote this, there's so many things that have happened since. So let's talk about that first of all, just the 7.5 month gap.
Mm-hmm.
Might you have responded the same way if I asked you to respond to this snack today? Would you have written about Claire again? Like,
yeah, I think. Well, at the time when I was writing that, we were in the middle of. Not only was it like the like peak college job, like everything was starting to be due was then, but also we were in like the most like hectic part of our show process. It was like tech week and extra rehearsals when I was writing it. So at the time I was like around Claire, and I was like from the outside watching her stress, and I was like, this is crazy. I know she was really stressed and didn't see it as like a positive thing, but I remember at the time being like, I have never even thought about the college audition process, and I can't imagine. I'm like, this is it's so crazy that she's in it, and she we didn't know where she was going, and now we do. But I remember being like in admiration, and also just like it was culture shock, which I said in the thing. So at the time, it was like I remember just thinking about that a lot, which is why I chose Claire and the theater and that using all that to respond to it. Now I don't know if I would still use Claire. I agree with everything I said, but I don't know what I would have put now. Maybe I would have, because I still think that she's like a very it's a big example of somebody who knows that they're good enough for the next level, and that's why they're worried. Yeah, I don't think I would change what I said. I don't think.
Really cool. And then the other thing I wanted to ask you about, there may be more that comes up, but I thought it was really poignant, I guess. From my perspective, I'm going to screen share again and go back to the KloobySnack. Right, when you talked about junior year, right?
Yeah.
Like, where is it? Somewhere in here. You talked
It's
about right here, junior year. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I remember in my junior year applying to colleges. I remember wondering if I'd get in. You know, what an interesting moment in time that everybody has to go through. Now, it's not just junior year is one phase. I'm going to ask you about that, right? But something else I want to add to real quick and see if you can humor me on this, Abigail, is that what you're doing, right? What you're writing about here is you're like, look, I love theater. I've been doing theater, right? But the next level. So what's interesting is this KloobySnack is the only one worried about whether or not they're good enough for the next level is one who knows they're going. But you're saying I wasn't worried about whether or not I was good enough because I was doing theater for the here and the now and for this time, for this phase in my life. So I wasn't never imagining, but you were clear about in Claire what the difference is.
Yeah.
Right. And so, I do not like bringing up your brother in baseball when I'm really trying to, be dad with you. But that was the first time I saw it. Okay. Is that like AJ is still playing baseball in college, right? So junior year is this interesting time, right? Where people are like, hey, do I really have what it takes, whether it's my passion or my ability or my path or my opportunity to go to the next level? And like junior year is this really crazy, right? Where people have been doing things that they love all their life, but now it's time to think about the next level, right? So I want to see if you have anything to say about, not just from your perspective, if you want to elaborate on your own perspective. And I think that your observations of Claire are beautiful and well presented in the book. But do you have anything else to add to us about this, like the pressure and the vortex that like the junior year, there's a threshold. Everybody's got to step through to some other side, which is like, you're done being a kid and it's time to prepare for the next level, which is college, right? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, well, I think for me, at least in regards to theater, I was never stressed out about theater. I saw it as like a place where like it was very fitting for me. And I have a speech that I'm giving on Tuesday all about this. Where theater just felt fitting to me. I feel at home on stage and in rehearsal, but I'd never considered pursuing it further. I was never like, oh, I'm in this, I'm doing theater now because I want to do it in the future. It's like, I'm doing theater now because this is who I am right now. But I know with other people, it's like junior year and it's like, okay, I need to stay in this and I need to get into more lessons. I need to do this. If they don't think that they're good enough at that point, it's like, I know so many of my friends who are like, are switching voice teachers to get better ones that have bigger names and
Yeah.
all this stuff. And everybody's taking more classes and lessons and branching out and all this stuff. Because they not only they want to get there, they think that they can get to the next level. There's all of that. And I was never that when it came to theater. It was I mean, obviously I love to perform, and obviously I wanted to have a good performance, but I was never worried about whether or not I was good for the next level or good for anything else. There was no like transitional thing I was reaching for. But I do know other people with like at like school, I have friends who play multiple sports, and for a lot of them, junior year was the year where like they had to just pick the one that they were going to pursue. And I have this one friend, her name's Caitlin, and she's like she's a runner, and she's also does she's played soccer her entire life, but then she started doing track, and she has like the top, like she's always in the top 3 in California, like every year since like freshman year. But she played soccer her entire life, and soccer was like her whole personality. But then junior year, she needed to like pick one because she was good enough to go to both, and she had to pick one, and she decided to pick track, and now she's going to UCLA for track next year. But I remember like talking to her about it, and also like just hearing about how she was quitting soccer because you need to pick the thing that she knew she was like insanely good at track, but soccer was her whole identity. So I know that was really hard for her. And I have other friends that had the same thing with like basketball and volleyball, or football and basketball and stuff like that, where it's like, instead of doing like, I think junior year is where things go from, I'm doing this for fun, to like, what am I doing this for? And it's like, is it just for fun, or can I turn it into something, or that whole thing? But for me was simple, because I knew that my talents were with writing and with my social skills and stuff like that. So I was never concerned about my extracurriculars or sports or theater. But yeah, I remember just seeing everybody else freak out about like what they were doing, and like what they were going to continue to do or try to continue to do, or what they were coming to terms with, like that they were going to stop doing.
Well, you can locate, right, the same amount of stress and anxiety just on what college you get into, right? Like like, can I ask you to elaborate on this? Hey, Charlie, we see you, by the way. We're going to jump you in here in a second. But let me ask you about, like, and be honest, like, this is a weird question, because me, I was always like, you're getting in, you're getting in, you're getting in. No doubt. I wouldn't allow any other thought come into my mind. I wouldn't allow my energy to vibrate any other way than you're getting into everything you apply for. Like, because right. Okay. But be honest with me right now and tell me, are there schools you applied to that you did not think you'd get into? And can you, like, all right, like when you wrote the snack, you're like, Claire's stressing about the next level. Claire's wondering if she's good enough because Claire's going. And how easy is that to be the observer and focus on? But I want you to feel this energy, right? When have you been, right, worried about whether or not you're good enough for the next level because you know that you're going?
Yeah. Well, with a lot of my schools, with Fordham, because I was early decision, I had a feeling I was going to get in, especially because I was applying for journalism, and I have my 4 years of being a staff writer and all of my English. Why are you on the last call?
It was an accident.
I was like, hold on.
I'm allowed.
So I was feeling pretty good about Fordham, but I didn't want to be too confident. But then Syracuse, I wasn't even stressing about getting in, because I was sure that I wasn't going to. So I was, like, before like the decisions came out, I wasn't freaking out about it. I checked it in my car because I was like, I'm not going to get in. I wasn't stressed about it because I was certain that I wasn't going to. And then I did. And then with Cal Poly Slow too, I did not think about that application at all after I submitted it. I was not stressed about it because I didn't think I was going to get in. But I think where the person being stressed about something because you know that you're good enough for the next level, I think that in regards to college I think that comes to play in all of high school, where some people are the ones that are stressed about their grades, and they're stressed about which classes they're taking and how that's going to look on a resume and how many APs are you going to take and all that stuff. Those people that are stressing about those ones are the ones that know they're going to college, and they know that they have like the goals. But then I know people who, from like the beginning of high school, who knew that they didn't want to go to a 4-year, they wanted to go to community or go to a trade school. So they were never stressed about the amount of AP classes that they took, or just in grades in general. As long as they were passing the class, they were passing the class. But they never were picking classes like with like the idea of like, how will this look on my like resume? How is this going to look on my transcript? Or I need to get my maintain this GPA, because their goal was just to graduate. Like, so I think throughout all of high school, you see the ones that are stressed because they know that they know that they want to go to a 4-year, they have certain goals for themselves in that regard. And then also you see the ones who aren't stressed because they know that they don't want to, or, so I think that's where you see a lot of the stress come in with college. And you can just kind of see throughout high school, like right now, everybody's college decisions are coming out. And a lot of the people that are going to trade school or going to community, you're not shocked by any of it, because that's how they were rolling all of high school. But then the ones that everybody I know that was insanely stressed, that was like their whole entire life was school, are the ones that are going to Ivy Leagues and all of this stuff with multiple Ivy League admissions and acceptances, because they were stressed because they knew that they could,
Yeah, it's interesting. I thank you for sharing your perspective. I think the junior year is an interesting time. I think anytime that somebody is doing something for fun and for diversity and rec, and they try all the sports and see what you love, but at some point, if you want to keep going, the investment has to increase, right? Because the competition gets tougher and so forth. And now, like, I just, again, I apologize again, but, we'll think about all the amount of time that you spend in theater.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a lot of time. So, like, I think I admire that you would do that. Would that not, like, how should I say this? It's
no,
like,
I understand what you're trying to say.
Yeah, like, it's different. Like, what if you don't get the role you want? What if, you're putting in all this time? And like, I just remember with AJ and watching baseball players. Okay. It was like, wait a second. You may not get any playing time. You can make the team, but you may not get any playing time. And so, but you still have to practice all the same time. You have to go to all of the games, all the travel, all the stuff. And then, right. And at some point, it's kind of cool, because, like, you got to make decisions, and that's, there's not enough time in a life for us to do 100% of everything that we could do.
Yeah.
Right? There's just no way. So we got to make some choices, and that means that we're going to not do some other things. And that dilemma never fades is what I'm getting at. And we were talking earlier this week, and it's like, hey, well, choices, you make it work, right? What are your priorities? We're going to fly him back for your graduation because he's committed to. So anyway, I can go down a rabbit hole, but let me just go ahead and honor the fact that Charlie is here all the way from South Africa. Charlie, how are you, my friend? Have you been with us on this conversation about imposter syndrome? And do you see that I put question marks there? Because I'm asking the question, really? Are we really imposters? Or do we just know that we're going, and that's the only reason we're worried at all?
Hi, Coach Jeff. Hello, Abby.
Hi.
I hope it's much warmer out there by your end. We're freezing down here. And I kind of
It is. We're in friggin' San Diego, Charlie. Of course it's warmer where we are. Okay, go ahead.
This conversation, Coach Jeff, I reflect on a memory when I was about 18, 19. And I used to play ice hockey and do short track speed skating. So this 1 year, I took every trophy competition that was in short track speed skating. I mean, all relay, team relays, distances, everything. And then my coach came up to me, Coach Norman Holwell, and said, right, now you have a choice. Either you play ice hockey or you do short track speed skating.
Yeah.
So the dilemma was, I liked both, but then the question was, where would I be going with whichever one? Now, overweighing the guys with ice hockey, half of them are twice my size. So if they could bomb me, I could, my career wouldn't be that well in ice hockey. But in speed skating, it's a bit safer. But then the big question, and I remember my dad saying to me, where does your heart sit? Because I asked him, I said, Dad, what do I do? Do I choose ice hockey? Do I choose speed skating just for the sake that I've taken every medal or won every competition over the year? And he said, Doesn't mean because you're good at speed skating, you can't be good at ice hockey. And which one of these do you feel is more like a hobby? And which one do you think you'll be stronger and more successful at? And that drove my decision to say, no, I'm going to stick with short track speed skating. Resulted in national championships, records that stood for years, rose up to the National Council, development coach, assistant national coach, and so forth. So I knew the path that I wanted to go. And that is what I think is very profound.
Well, can I? Yeah, well, I love the story because you're focused on this dilemma that we talked about that shows up for people in junior year or sooner when they realize, oh, wait a second, the amount of time I have to put into this just to be involved in it is actually going to take away the time that I need to put into what I think I could be good at or what will get me further, right? And that's a dilemma, and it's a sad dilemma that when we face with this choice. But let me go ahead and ask you, once you chose the speed skating, right? Did, as you were ascending to new and next levels within that track, did you ever feel like, did you ever wonder, am I good enough? Am I good enough? Am I good enough? Because somehow deep inside, you knew you were going to another level. Do you ever have moments of like doubting yourself, which is really like a lie? You're not really doubting yourself. You're just really coming to terms with the fact that I'm going to the next level, and it's hard to believe it first, right? Because it's new and it's different. Do you have any experience of that, Charlie?
Coach Jeff, before any major race, there's all competition. There's not a sportsman that I can say that doesn't play in their minds. Am I good enough to beat the next person? Am I good enough to be competing against the next person? But then you brought in something which I think, you know me, I can twist the words and bring them into a good KloobySnack. You said something about your investment has to increase.
Yeah.
Like once you know that you would want to, or you headed for the next level, your investment has to increase. Training harder, being more on time,
right?
Discipline training. I mean, like everything gets cut off. No partying.
The things that Abigail observed in her friend Claire that she knew she wasn't doing, and then recognized the difference and made peace with. Continue.
Yes. But the question of, am I good enough? That would play in your mind. But I'd always says to that positive mindset and affirmations, even while running, you telling yourself, you got this, you're going to win it. Like you're playing the race out while you're jogging in our training sessions or cycling or whatever. You're already playing the race out. And believe me, half the time, it's like deja vu when the race starts.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Charlie. I mean, it's heartwarming to hear how tonight's KloobySnack brought you back to these critical moments in your life when your dad helped you make choices and when you felt conflicted with the paths that open up for us and the choices that we have to make as we get older in life, and then of course the continued and increasing investments that we must make in the choices. Wonderful. So I feel comfortable, and drum roll please, getting us to last call. So here we are, last call for comments, questions, jokes, riddles as we wrap up KloobySnack number 22 overall. Just as a reminder, it is about imposter syndrome, but I put the question marks there because I really think if I didn't know I was going to the next level, I probably wouldn't worry at all.
I don't worry.
Like, what am I worried about? I'm not going anywhere, right? So there's ignorance is bliss, of course, but I prefer to be continually focused on growing to new and next levels. But, is it really imposter syndrome, or is it really just like kind of a little bit of anxiety about the unforeseen and the novelty that's waiting for us? It's not imposter. We're not imposters. We know we're going, right? Last call.
I would just like to say that next week's KloobySnack, Sunday night KloobySnack, will be the day before my last ever day of high school, which I think is just crazy. I think it's crazy, but it's my last this KloobySnack, or the day after next Sunday's KloobySnack thing isn't even a real day of high school. We're going just to pick up our yearbooks and get them signed. So the next KloobySnacks, I'll be basically done with school, and the one after that, I will be a graduate. So I just think it's crazy, especially that like I wrote all of these when I was in like my first and my second quarter of high school, and now here we are reading them, and I'm
of senior year, second quarter of senior year.
Sorry, senior year, not high school. These are not that old. Well, my response is all right. So I think that's crazy, and I was thinking about that. I was like, oh, like next week, and I'm like, wait a minute, next week I'm basically done. So,
well, anybody that's watching a recording of this, or anybody that happened to be watching it live, congratulations. But anybody watching a recording, if you rewind a little bit, you see the way Abby's face lit up at this notion of completion and pride. And, it's just like, what a gift from the gods. I don't know, whatever your higher power is, what a gift to me that I get to spend this year this way with you, right? Every Sunday night, we get like 45 minutes together, and we get to reflect on this project that we, it's just a wonderful thing. And I'll tell you what, as excited as you are for next week and like what that represents in your high school journey, I'm looking forward to mark your calendar, everyone. August 24th. August 24th. I think at 8:00. I don't even know. I think we're gonna have to do a special time on August 24th. Just so you guys know, August 24th is when we drop Abigail off at Fordham in New York City. We're gonna have to do a special time, like 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern. Your mom and I are gonna be on a plane.
I'm gonna be socializing.
Yeah. So we might have to like
be unpacking.
I think we have to do Sunday morning 8 a.m. is I think what we need to do. Get the KloobySnack done, and then get you moved in, and then do the KloobySnack from whatever hotel we're in before we check out and move you in. I think we just got, and it's going to be probably like an abbreviated session, like 15-minute KloobySnack, no 45-minute jam. Like we're going to be preoccupied. It's just. I loved how excited you are thinking about next week.
Okay, I'm excited for me graduating, or for my last day, whatever, because that's just like one step closer to. Wait, hold on. How many? Wait, let me pull it up real quick.
80 something. 85, 84. 85, 86.
It's loading.
82?
84 days until, or in 84 days, I'll be moved in New York City. Hey! It's cool that also like doing these weekly KloobySnacks, it's going to continue until I'm back for winter break next year. So I'll get to follow me through college and all that.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said for consistency. We're going to be so proud of ourselves when we get to the end of the year and we've done a complete 52, right? And we have a library, we have a collection of, anyway, it's just the whole thing is just wonderful. All right, we're still in last call. Charlie, anything else? Comments, questions, jokes, riddles, limericks, haikus, or expressions of gratitude?
Abby, good luck for you completing high school. And it was just like a massive beam the way your eyes lit up as well when you spoke about how the last finishing high school is really a feat. And wishing you good luck at college. And Coach Jeff, thank you for being who you are as well. Always out there empowering others, teaching. I'm lost for words, actually. I'm grateful to know you, and I'm grateful that at times I can make these sessions It's pretty cold out here. We're at like 3 degrees Fahrenheit right now.
Yeah, well, I must tell you that even though I've got this light on me, this light is making me 1 or 2 degrees warmer. Looking at you is making me 1 or 2 degrees colder. Yeah, so it averages out to just the warmth of hugs and love and thought leadership and vulnerability and curiosity and the desire to grow and just get better. And I'm just a lucky dude. I'm very, very lucky that Abby, you came together with me on this project, and your genius is taking it to levels I couldn't have imagined. And so it's a fun journey week by week. So there we have it. This is KloobySnack number 22. And it was, what was it? It was, we're talking about imposter syndrome. And next week is 23, which means, oh, wait. No. What are we? We're going to 26. There's 26 before we switch. Okay. Yeah. So the couple more snacks that you respond to before we get to number 26, which has my response, and that's going to be a tearjerker, I'm sure. Yeah. But anyway, thank you, Charlie, for being here and supporting us as you do. Yep. Abby, thank you for everything that you've brought to KloobySnacks, and I can't wait to see you next week, and enjoy your last week of high school. And thank you, everyone out there, for chiming in and supporting what we're doing here every week. Bite-sized and delicious motivation, KloobySnacks. Abigail, do you want to sign us off?
Oh, what am I supposed to do?
I don't know.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Get the KloobySnacks.
Good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.